And if the shoe fits, bring her in. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. It's post-WWDC. We got some new discoveries, but Google announced a new Gemini Speaker. Snapchat made some smart glasses. We'll see if that's a thing. Also new CarPlay changes. Fox is buying Roku. SpaceX had a huge IPO. And we're going to get into some deep topics like the UK social ban and the current feelings of AI in the United States. This episode is brought to you by NordLayer, Claude, Shopify, and you, the members who support us directly. One of your hosts, Stephen Robles, back in my home studio with my friend Jason Aten. How's it going, Jason?
It's very good. We're past like graduation open house period of time. So my to-do list is significantly shorter. Which is also terrifying because it shouldn't be, but it is.
It does feel like, my work doesn't necessarily change, but when the kids are out of school and don't have like their dance rehearsals and practices and the recitals over, everything feels like it's slower. Right. Even though I'm still working just many hours. I'm still making videos. I'm still, doing Safari extensions, all that. This was a very vague quote I started with, but I was trying to tie something into the Allbirds news today. And so I said, if the shoe fits, bring her in. It's a cartoon.
You told me before that it was an old movie.
Yes.
And it's a cartoon. It's the only shoe-related old cartoon movie I can think of is Cinderella.
That's it? Nailed it. Got it.
I just want to be clear. Only because of the piecing. My logic skills are impeccable.
That's what it is. You just put the puzzle pieces together.
Don't remember that quote from that movie.
Neither do I, but it was on that janky movie site that I get all the quotes from.
JankyMovieSite.com.
That's it. We got one 5-star review shout out. Jack Miller Dev from the USA met at WWDC. Got to meet Jack out there, so thanks for that 5-star review. Leave us a 5-star rating review. Get a shout out at the top of the show. And here's what we want to do today. There are some post-dub discoveries. There's a bunch of little small topics I want to jam through. And then I feel like it's been a little while since we've done like some deep topics, Jason. Something like, intense. And so I want to talk about that social media ban in the UK and AI because there's this Pew Research survey about how people really feel about AI. And I thought there was some surprising statistics. So let's jam through some stuff. Number one, the biggest news of the week. This just rocked my world, Jason. Is that Allbirds is rebranding to Smartbird. Because it's an AI company now.
Which, we did cover this before, but at the time it was like Allbirds is going to be Allbirds, but they're going to lease out GPUs.
Yeah, exactly. And so I just think that's hilarious. Their stock actually went up on this rebranding. I don't know. It's a shoe brand doing AI stuff.
So here's the thing. I had this feeling the other day. Yeah. Because I still have a pair of Allbirds. Sure. And they were like my airport shoes because they were so easy to slip on and off and they were very lightweight. Yep. Now I'm not sure I should wear them. I feel weird. I just feel weird. I don't want to have a conversation with somebody like, wait, aren't those the shoe company?
They're not gonna recognize it.
All right,
it's fine. That's Allbirds. One news, which this actually happened when we were recording at WWDC, but I felt weird talking about a bunch of other news that's not dub while I'm sitting at Apple Park and there's like 8 Apple people staring at me as I record.
Taking notes about what you say.
Yeah, exactly. Everybody, there are people like on their phones, like typing in the background as I'm sitting there recording. I'm like, are they taking notes about what I'm saying?
They don't even know you're there, Steven.
They don't care.
They're just ordering lunch.
Can I just say when we recorded, not we. I was there in person. Hopefully one day we both get to be there. And every time sometimes I would say something and I'm like, oh, wait a minute. Because they don't, when you have a briefing, which I don't even know if you're allowed to say you have a briefing.
Yeah.
I don't know. I hear everybody else say that. Well, when you have a briefing after the keynote, which you have these little meetings with people and they give you demos and you can ask questions about the software, they say at the beginning of the briefings, this is on background, meaning no attribution, meaning you can't like quote them per se or say this person at Apple said. And it's sometimes they even say like, don't say Apple said. Sometimes they say that part. And so it's like, well, what can I do with this information? You know what I mean? And I know I can report on it. And I don't think so. All that to say, during our recording last week, there were times where I would say like, I didn't want to say in a briefing because I wasn't sure if I was supposed to say that. So I would say vague things like, well, we're at a meeting. Or someone said, I didn't know what the right words were, and I'm sure nobody cared. But I kept looking up when I would say things, and I would see people typing on their iPhones. I'm like, they're probably just emailing or whatever. But
yeah, nobody's keeping score. But just to remind our listeners, I can tell you exactly why this happens because this burned me recently.
That's right.
Because the reason they don't want you to say that is they want the burden to be on you.
Right.
They don't want the burden on them because recently I reported on something that Apple did in fact tell me.
Yes, you could.
But it was not true. And I wasn't supposed to say that Apple said that, but I mistakenly used those words in an article, and it turned out that they were not true, and they just wanted me to change it. And I'm like, I can't change it unless you give me a statement.
Give me a change.
Like, you have to tell me, because literally what I wrote was true. Apple did say the thing that I said that they said. It's just that the thing that they said, that I reported that they said, was not true.
But it wasn't on you. I mean,
just to be clear, it wasn't like they lied. There was no deceit involved. It was literally just someone misspoke. That's it.
Right.
And that's why they don't want you doing that, because they don't want you to attribute the source of truth to them in case that happens.
And I do think, when you're in these little briefings, it's a variety of people. I didn't know, like I was in one briefing with Brandon Butch, but all my other briefings were with people I didn't know who they were.
Sure.
And so there are YouTube creators, podcasters, but a lot of them are journalists, writers as well. And I imagine, like the situation you had, writing in an article, Apple said, quote, and then putting a quote, is probably seen as is probably looked at more critically by Apple than shucking and jiving on a podcast and you're just saying words. You know what I mean? I think it's just the nature of the medium, and that's probably why it's not a big deal. But I was always like, I'm looking over in the background, and everyone, the way the studio's set up, it's all dark because all the lights are pointed at me, so I just see these silhouettes behind the cameras and the monitors, and I'm like, oh man, hello. Anyway,
somebody's got a red button over there that like ejects
eject button.
It's like he's done.
That's it. So this was last week, but Claude and Anthropic released Fable 5 for like 5 minutes, which is like their Mythos level model, but with some guardrails so that the public could use it. And then due to some possible jailbreaks or misuse, they were like, just kidding, you can't use it. And so now Fable 5 has been taken back, and there's like a message in every Claude app that says Fable 5 is not available right now. Who knows if it'll come back. Did you use Fable 5 when it was actually available?
Yeah, and I just want to say this slightly differently. Yes, I did, actually. I actually used it in Claude Code, and it's amazing. Like, it figured out a problem I had been having for quite a while and fixed it like in one pass.
Interesting.
And it's exactly what I needed, and it was amazing. And then I went back to like type in another prompt, and it was gone. But the reason it was gone, so there was I don't know if a jailbreak is the right term, but I guess that's the phrase that people are using.
That's what the U.S. government is saying.
Sure. But, it was found by Amazon. Amazon's the one that reported this jailbreak, and Amazon is an investor and a partner with Anthropic, so it's kind of people are like, wasn't like OpenAI found this and was like, hey, they're doing bad stuff over there. This was like literally one of their people.
It's Amazon, yeah.
And it was kind of an interesting thing. I guess the reason they had to pull it I think they did have to pull it for everyone because it was the national security directive was like, no foreign nationals can use this, whether they're in the country or not.
Right.
Or even if they work at Anthropic. So OpenAI or Anthropic has no idea if I open Claude, if I'm a U.S. national or not. Right. And they don't know for you, and they don't know for whoever. And there's no way for them to filter out their own employees who might be using this. So they had to just shut it off for everyone. But I do think this is one of those things that's similar to when like Craig Federighi is like, these features are currently not available in the EU. We don't know why. We can't tell you why this Apple Intelligence doesn't work. You should talk to your government. It's kind of like making a point. Like the fact that they've put this, 98% of people using Claude had no idea Fable was a thing. So the fact that they've put a banner at the bottom saying it's not available is just so that people will wonder, why isn't it available? What's happening?
It generates intrigue for sure.
Yes.
And while I was at DubDub, I was using different AI tools. Like while I was making videos, I have it, give me title and description ideas. And at one point I was like, do I use Fable 5 to like help me come up with a YouTube title? I feel like I didn't feel right doing that. I don't know.
A little bit overpowered.
Yeah, I feel like it's probably going to not actually maybe be good at that because it's thinking too much. So anyway, I didn't get to use it. Maybe it'll come back. So that was Fable 5. Snapchat have announced, this was probably the big news this week, the specs. These are AR glasses from Snapchat. They're rather large, but they are, these are like the Meta, Orions, where there's actual displays in the lenses. These are, you don't need a wristband to function. It's all just kind of built in. Listen, here's the thing, Jason. I've been thinking about these AR glasses. And if you go to the page that I'll include in the show notes, I was looking at all the powerful real-world utilities here. And it's all the things that you hear from AR glasses, which is directions, where you get to see the street things right in your eyes, or if you're repairing something, you get to see the car parts highlighted with the glasses. You can measure things. You can set timers over your pot. And, so many of these examples feel like what Vision Pro did, what Meta would do with the Orion. And these are also $2,200 you can pre-order right now. I mean, these are not inexpensive. I do not think these or any AR glasses are going to matter until they're made by the people who make your phone. Like, your iPhone is not going to communicate with these glasses. You're not going to be able to interact with your iPhone apps in these glasses. You're not going to be able to do all the iMesh stuff you're used to. And also, they're huge and expensive. I get excited about new technology. I feel like now this is not new technology. These augmented reality type products have been out for so many years, with Meta doing it, with Google and Android XR. It feels a little less novel and now more like, is this going to be a thing or not? So while technology is cool and I'm excited to see the future of AR glasses in maybe 5 years, this just shows me we're still far away from it, I feel like.
Yeah, I can't believe they shipped these. Not at that price. These are way too close to Vision Pro. Now, you're not going to wear a Vision Pro out in public. I get it. There's a slightly different perspective there. But, I mean, just buy the Meta display Ray-Ban things. Like, I don't understand. Or buy whatever Google's working on. Like, this is not. And the functionality from Snap. Like, you just want the little bubbles popping up everywhere. Like, I don't understand. Like, how much did they have to pay Eddie Murphy to put those on? That's what I want to know.
That's the thing. And also, Snapchat. I know your kids use Snapchat, right?
My girls do, yeah.
Your girls do. I've had the audience for Snapchat is the teenage audience. And what audience is the least likely to have $2,200 to spend on a pair of glasses?
Right. And none of the people that they took pictures of it on are teenagers. They're all just movie stars.
They all got paid $1 million to take a picture with these. So anyway, yeah, those are the Snap specs. But listen, Snapchat has always tried wild things. They used to have vending machines for glasses with a camera in them. You remember that?
But that was different. Like,
I know, that was actually a camera.
I feel like, I don't know. I don't know. But we do know what Meta's next product's going to look like now.
Oh, like that.
Because all they do is they just copy Snap.
Fair enough. I bought another speaker, Jason. I don't know if you saw the speaker. Why does our layout keep changing in Riverside? We complained about this in the pre-show. It keeps changing. Stop doing it. Now I can't change it back.
And every time you share a thing, it's like, it takes up like 15% in the middle. I can't even see anything you share.
Sorry, we complained about this in the pre-show. Anyway, Google's shipping a new speaker. It's like a big, it's in between a HomePod Mini and a HomePod. It's the Google Home speaker. I feel like the naming, I feel like they did well. They didn't try to put Nest in there. They didn't try to put some weird word. It's just the Google Home speaker. It's going to run Gemini. Google says it has better sound. It's $100, and it's going to have a Gemini just built right in. And I bought one, so I'm gonna try it out. I'm gonna try talking to Gemini. And one of the things in the feature page is for smart home. You'll be able to ask it things like if you have cameras that plug into your Google Home, and they have the example here where like a vase fell. You'll be able to ask the speaker, what happened to the vase? And then the speaker's going to tattletale on your kid. They'll be like, well, Johnny ran past the vase and knocked it over. It'll do that. But I was encouraged by that being the feature that Google's pushing, because Apple's Home app is actually not that far from here with the new home features where you can actually search with natural language in the Home app. Your HomeKit secure video cameras and ask like who delivered the package or what was so-and-so doing. So one, it made me happy that Apple doesn't feel so far behind with the Google Home stuff. But two, I'm curious how this sounds because, a little bigger than a HomePod Mini. Talk to Gemini. I'll ask it about black holes and stuff.
So is this the only speaker? This is the only speaker now that they're selling.
Yeah, all the Nest ones I think are deprecated. It's just this.
Now, I'm going to tell you that the Google's speakers are sneakily really good. Like I've got one that's got the Pixel tablet with it's got the bass right over here with the speaker on it, and right next to it is a Sonos Era 100. Is that a thing? Okay.
Yeah.
Obviously the Sonos is better.
Sure.
And there are two original HomePods back there, obviously significantly better. But that just the base alone is totally usable for people. My wife uses a Google Home Hub Max, whatever that thing's called. I'm a writer and I can't figure out these names. In our kitchen all the time to play music, and it sounds very, very good. And I have one of the old Nest home speakers, which is like basically a mini HomePod type thing. Right. Not a mini HomePod, but like a smaller version of HomePod. Yeah. It sounds very, very good. So I have no doubt that this will sound better than a HomePod mini for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And so for $99, that's really good. But I'm kind of surprised because they used to basically put speakers in everything, and now it looks like they just have one.
They just have one. And the HomePod mini has not been updated in 50 years. Let's be clear. It's seriously overdue. And you can
Hasn't the original HomePod been updated more recently than the HomePod mini?
Yes.
Which is terrifyingly sad.
It's true. You can supposedly use these with a Google streamer like you do HomePods with an Apple TV for your things. And apparently you only need one to use it. And I'm going to actually have a Google streamer because I did a video on like Gemini on the Google streamer. So anyway, I'm going to test it out and see what it's like. So those come out later this month.
When you say the Google streamer, what do you mean by those words?
It is their latest box.
That's what it's called, is Google Streamer?
It is literally, I haven't said
How did I miss this?
I'm trying very hard not to say literally. Jason said it 50 times so far in this episode.
I'm
trying to limit it
50 times. Oh, it is called Google TV. It is literally called Google TV Streamer 4K. Okay.
I'm trying to do it, but it is, the product is literally called Google Streamer. And I'm going to go down here. Why can't I find it on their website?
It's under Smart Home and then streaming and then Google TV Streamer.
It is Google TV Streamer. Yeah. So the Google.
Yeah. You're totally right. I just thought maybe you were glitching and you're just like,
no. Because I have it, the streamer. So anyway, side note, I really wish tvOS had gotten more love during DubDub and we would have seen like the Apple Intelligence and Siri AI built in for like recommendations and finding stuff. That I feel like that was a big miss.
Do you think that makes it more likely or less likely that there's a new box coming sometime and they were just kind of saving that for that?
I'm going to be optimistic and say this fall, maybe we'll get an updated hardware Apple TV that will then be capable of doing some of that stuff.
And maybe they'll release a Mac Studio, a Mac Mini, and an Apple TV. Yeah. They're going to go big, little.
I mean, if they could put Siri AI on the Apple Watch, they should be able to put it on an Apple TV.
Yeah, I mean, the interface. I mean, really, when you say they put it on the Apple Watch, mostly they just made it able to connect to private cloud compute, right?
Right. Well, just do that with the Apple TV. You know what I mean? Just do that. And also, I don't think I mentioned this, but Sigmund Judge, who covers Apple TV, has the Magic Rays of Light podcast. He actually sent me a question to ask in one of the briefings. I'm just going to say briefing now because I don't even care. The Apple briefing. He sent me a question to ask because on that giant wall of text, one of the updates is smart downloads on Apple TV. And he spotted that and he asked me, can you ask somebody, what does that mean? Like, what is smart downloads on Apple TV? Does that mean apps? Does that mean offloading apps randomly, annoyingly? So I did get to ask that in a briefing, and it supposedly will download movie and TV content that it anticipates you watching so it doesn't have to buffer. So if you are watching a Apple TV series like Shrinking and you're on episode 3, it might download episode 4 in preparation for you going to it. And there wasn't, when I asked, they said, we'll get back to you. And Jason, I don't know if you experienced this when you've been at DubDub and in briefings. I feel like when Apple says they'll get back to me on a question, there's like a 2% chance they'll get back to me. Is that
really?
Is that your experience?
I would say that when I hear them say, we'll get back to you on that, depending on the environment, but like, especially if I'm doing like a briefing on WebEx with a small number of people,
right,
the chances are really good. Someone will usually email me a little bit later.
Yeah.
However, in an in-person briefing, it's probably 50-50. But if I follow up and say, hey, just want to remind you of this question that I had, the chances go up to almost 100.
Yeah, if you do that, if it's via email, there's a high chance. But anyway, I don't expect to follow up on this one because when I asked, they said, I don't know if I should. It was said, it's kind of like this, but we'll get back to you. So maybe that's a thing, and maybe new Apple TV hardware lends itself to more of that kind of smart download tvOS 27.
What's happening is someone is trying to figure out who put that on the slide so I can ask them, who told them, so I can ask them, what does this mean?
I would love to behind the scenes of how that slide got together. Like, was there a Kanban board and all the Apple departments? Like, are they sharing a free-form document? Like, give us 10 things from your department to put on this list.
It's got to be Jira, right? And like they just took a screenshot of the whole Jira board or whatever, and they just dumped that into Claude and they're like, make me a slide.
make me a slide. Use Fable 5 to make me a slide.
At least all of the words were real words. So like
they were all real words.
Good job.
Right. That's it. Well, since we're talking about DubDub, I want to mention a couple things. One, all the Apple developer sessions are on YouTube in addition to the developer app. But if you want to see some of these sessions, you can just go on YouTube. I'm going to put a link to this one because it was a design immersive environments for Vision Pro. And the reason why this was, I think, a fascinating look, it's going step by step on how to produce an immersive environment. And they show behind the scenes of how they produce the Mount Hood environment and also a couple of the other ones. But, Jason, the Mount Hood environment, I've been believing a lie.
Yeah, they edited it out. The road.
They edited so much of this. So in the real, they talked about how they scouted locations. So they went to Mount Hood, they went to El Capitan, they take photos, and they show what the actual point of view where you're standing in Vision Pro for the Mount Hood environment. And there's a road. There's a straight up road where you would be standing. And the environment, the immersive environment in Vision Pro, it removes the road, it removes rocks from the water, and even the look behind you. When you're standing in that spot in real life, there's a dense forest immediately behind you that totally just made that a field. I was like, I've been believing a lie for the past 2-3 years, however long Vision Pro's been out.
Well, what's even crazier? I mean, that's crazy. But like, so they recorded this behind the scenes and just saved it for now.
Apparently,
did they just forget? Like somebody pulled it up on their Plex server and like, we should just release this
because they also they have the same thing for El Capitan. They have a bunch of, and the session is cool because one, it's telling developers how to capture reference footage and how to plan, and they're like, put a camera 1 meter off the ground and another camera 2 meters off the ground to capture panorama. Bracket your exposure because you want to be able to do all this. And then they talk about compositing it in 3D software later. It's really fascinating. Even if you've never seen an immersive environment in Apple Vision Pro, just seeing how much goes into making one of these environments and the spatial audio. They talk about the new Thor's Mark environment, but they also talk about the things like Bora Bora, where there's motion, like the palm trees and the clouds moving, and how they don't composite video footage for that motion. They actually do things like take a texture and map it onto the sky and the water, and then randomize that texture movement. And they try to mimic close enough to the clouds in the sky and the water lapping, but it's less computationally intense to render these textures at random speeds and the shadows on the ground. Like it's not the clouds making the shadows on the ground. It's these textures, and they just matched it up close enough to fool your eye. I just thought it was fascinating, and how much work goes into it. Even the shadows of like the palm branches, I thought it was really cool. So you should watch it.
I'm not going to watch it, but that's very cool.
It's like 15 minutes. It's a pretty fun watch. But while I was doing that, I was like, well, wait a minute. Now I'm curious, because this is on YouTube, so algorithm plays into this stuff. And I said, well, what's the most viewed WWDC 26 session? Because then it seems like it might have broken out of the developer interest and maybe into the wider world. And I found the CarPlay developer session. I'm speaking as though I like spelunked and discovered something hidden. I mean, this is very clear.
You're an investigative journalist now, Stephen.
I'm an investigative journalist. But I hadn't heard this anywhere, and I'm probably going to make a video about it, because in CarPlay in iOS 27, Apple is straight up adding video support for apps to have video libraries right there in CarPlay. And apps can build out a video library with thumbnails and play progress bars, and when you're parked, CarPlay will let you just play videos. And for something like YouTube, who knows if they'll do it, but it would be amazing. You can browse YouTube in CarPlay, and you will be able to AirPlay. This was rumored in all the 26 betas that you'll be able to AirPlay video into CarPlay, and they just straight up say it in this developer session. You can AirPlay to CarPlay in iOS 27 and just play video as long as you're parked. And they had this interesting part of the session where they talked about EV charging, and it seemed like a way to get around some of the locked EV experiences. Like, Tesla, if you want the charging with directions, you really got to use the Tesla map in your Tesla car. Well, they are building this system where your phone and car can communicate, where if you get directions on your phone in CarPlay, It will send that to the car's navigation. The car's navigation will detect whether you need a charging point in this route, and it will send that charge point back to the Apple Maps and CarPlay, update the route, and then that will communicate back and forth so you can actually have charging spots on the route dictated by the car, but in Apple Maps and CarPlay. Now, the big problem here is the big EV makers don't have CarPlay, like Tesla, Rivian. They're not doing CarPlay at all. But for the EVs that do have CarPlay, maybe from Cadillac, Toyota, they'll have this new charging waypoint interface between the two. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, Cadillac definitely doesn't have CarPlay because it's from GM, but I think the Kia ones might, because our Hyundai Palisade has CarPlay. We don't have an electric one, but also we've heard the stories or the rumors that, the report really that it's coming to Tesla. So like maybe this is some of the work they have to do in order to make that happen. I don't know.
True.
I am curious why they call it AirPlay, because isn't the car just showing another display of your phone?
Yes, but I think they said the device you see in the AirPlay menu will be whatever the CarPlay device is. So your car or your weird $50 screen like I have, your Carper ride, I think that will be the AirPlay destination. So, and they said apps don't have to be updated to support that. If your app supports AirPlay, it'll just work with iOS 27. So I'm going to test that this week.
Because it just feels like I plug my laptop into the studio display, and it doesn't think of the video it's showing on the studio display as CarPlay, or as AirPlay, right. It's just, no, you plugged in a Thunderbolt cable.
Yeah, but it's a weird... because CarPlay is a destination. If you're connected to CarPlay and you're playing music or a podcast, you can go to the AirPlay menu and you'll see iPhone and CarPlay as a destination.
Yeah, just like you can go to the speakers right here and choose Studio Display as the speakers. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So anyway, I'm hopeful. I've been waiting for that Tesla update every time there's a software update, but yeah, not a thing yet.
Not happening.
Not happening yet. A couple other discoveries. I'm going to put my video about Safari extensions in the show notes because I've just been mad with power building all the Safari extensions I can.
I used one. I watched your video and I did the download all images. And then I went to Flickr and I tried to download all of them from a page and it was like, nope, I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, it's hit and miss because I also tried doing it on like other websites, like a Verge article, and it was like it put the header image in a new tab.
Yep, that's exactly what keeps happening to me.
So and you could describe, ask for changes.
I could edit it, but I don't care.
Yeah, I don't care. But some of them are pretty cool, like the font one. You could see what fonts are on the webpage live just by hovering your mouse. I thought that was pretty cool. So describe extension in Safari, very cool. And there's some new shortcuts actions. I covered them in a live stream of my shortcuts community earlier this week. But so you'll be able to automate messages being sent to groups. So previously in shortcuts, if you had a group, like we have a text message group called Our Fam, and it's the 5 of us, you couldn't choose that group in shortcuts to send a message to. You'd have to add the 5 contacts, and then it would create another group message, and it was really annoying. Well, in iOS 27, you can specify a group by its name, and I'm going to do that for my Wordle scores now, so I can automatically send stuff to the group. And photos, and you also get tap back actions in shortcuts. And then hide photos is a new action as well in iOS 27. So you can select photos in a shortcut and then choose to send them all to the hidden album automatically. That's a new one. Along with a bunch of other changes, Apple Notes has better markdown support through shortcuts and all of that. So anyway, that's that. All right, let's jam through a couple more. Fox, this one. Fox has acquired Roku for $22 billion. And here's the deal. Everyone who has a Roku, I'm so sorry, because you're going to get hammered with ads. No more Roku.
Well, hold on.
Yes.
If you have a Roku, like you're pretty used to being hammered with ads. Let's just be clear.
Fair enough. At least sometimes you got the Roku City screensaver. You know what I mean?
I'm sure. All I'm saying is that is not going to be the differentiator here.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. Apparently, Roku has 100 million households, and Roku was like the thing for a long time, and it's still a really cheap streaming stick. I didn't look this up. I'm curious the numbers of Amazon Fire Stick versus Roku right now, because Amazon throws a Fire Stick in whatever package you might get.
Sure.
But yeah, Fox said this is really going to help the company target ads more effectively. That's the whole deal. So
it is. I mean, also it's interesting because there was a point in time when Fox was a partial owner of Hulu.
That's right.
And then they sold off a bunch of that stuff to Disney.
Right.
Yes, and so now the remaining Fox company is decided, we didn't have enough of that. So we're going to
like more.
We're going to do more. So we're going to buy Roku. And
more of that, please.
I mean, we've had this conversation, and I know that it's hard for either of us to believe, but I think Roku is like the most popular streaming service that people are using. Maybe the Fire TV, because like you said, Amazon will just drive by your house with the truck and just throw them at you. Like,
right.
Did you know that you can stop an Amazon delivery truck, one of those Prime trucks, and just ask them and they'll give you a Roku stick?
Wait, is that for real?
No, it's not.
Oh,
don't do.
But I won't believe
that. You should not do that.
If you ask,
would be amazing if they stop and you could be like, "Hey, do you have any of those Fire sticks?"
It's like one of the things, like airlines. You can always ask for the pin or the
yes, or like the mailman when they just give the dog a treat. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Apparently, I just looked this up. Apparently, Amazon Fire TV has 50 million households. So Roku has double the households over Fire TV.
Yeah.
So that's why Fox bought them. That's amazing. But I guess Roku's built into smart TVs too, so that probably counts.
Yeah,
just
I have one right behind me. And the only reason I bought it is because I was like, well, we have a Google one, we have lots of Apple TVs. I should see what it's like. And then I immediately hooked up an Apple TV, and I've never looked at the Roku menu stuff again.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't do that. Well, that's that. Last couple of things before we get to some deeper topics. SpaceX had its massive IPO, closed higher. I didn't check what it was today, but it closed higher than it launched, and it made the world's first trillionaire, Jason. That's all I have to say about that.
Yeah, and now
yes,
they're going to merge with Tesla eventually.
Oh, because Tesla's still not a part of that SpaceX conglomerate.
No, Tesla's a public company, but probably not for long. It'd be, according to Glenn Shotwell, who is the chief operating officer of SpaceX, it would be just much more convenient for Elon if they were one company.
Right, exactly. SpaceX right now is at 191, and it opened at 150.
Yeah,
so
and it's like a bigger company than many of the. It's bigger than
2.3 trillion. Yeah,
it's like just hovering right behind Amazon. Which, just to be clear, Amazon, a company where everyone buys everything, and
yes.
company that powers all of the internet.
Yes,
SpaceX is basically a pretty successful satellite internet company with a rocket company bolted on, and then a massive money-losing social network and AI company also bolted on.
Well, but the AI, they're now building the data centers for Anthropic.
No. They just leased it out to them because
but I'm saying, but that's an income generator for SpaceX.
It's still losing a ton of money.
Still, the data center part?
Everything about it is losing money except for Starlink.
Interesting.
And the rocket company maybe isn't losing money. I can't remember the exact details, but also the rocket company, which, by the way, SpaceX, the rocket company, is one of this country's most important enterprises, because I don't know if you've noticed that in the past, NASA had some problems accomplishing some of the things it wanted to accomplish.
Right.
And like SpaceX it's been delivering people to the International Space Station. It's been launching all these satellites. It's been doing all this stuff. But really, most of the revenue from the rocket company is money from Starlink to launch its satellites. Right? And Starlink does make money, but Starlink doesn't make like that much money. It's like a double-digit billion-dollar company kind of a thing. And yet somehow, I don't know, Steven, somehow this company is valued right up there with Amazon, more valuable than TSMC, which makes all of the chips for everything.
Right, for everything.
It's like twice as valuable as Tesla, which, say what you want about Tesla, they do actually make cars.
They do make products that people buy.
Ship them and deliver them. Yes.
I saw a post on, I think it was Mastodon, a watched bubble never pops. And I thought that was
okay.
I thought that was an interesting.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
Basically, like the AI bubble, but I don't know. I don't know what watching it means versus not watching it. Maybe it's just because everyone's so.
Yeah, I mean, really,
obsessed.
It's just a meme stock. It's just the world's largest meme stock. No. I'm serious. People are not buying it because they think that it is going to put people on Mars, which maybe it will, or whatever. They are buying it because.
To Elon
Musk.
To the moon.
To Mars, not to the moon.
Yeah, excuse me, to the
Mars.
To Mars. And they're also, with all this money, also acquiring Cursor, which is an AI coding app. I was almost tempted to try Cursor when I heard Adam Lissagore talk about how he uses that.
Yeah, he uses it for everything.
For everything. I actually met Adam Lissagor after the live talk show last week. Got to take a selfie with him, which was super fun. But he said he used it. I was like, oh, maybe I should try Cursor. And then I saw SpaceX is acquiring it. And I was like, well, I don't know what's going to happen to it, so maybe not.
Yeah, every time you put code into there, it's going to be published on X just automatically.
It's going to be, maybe it'll be in space. No, I don't know. No, maybe not. All right, last couple of actually fun news. Smart home, Schlage. I think that's how you say it.
Schlage?
Schlage? I really thought it was Schlage. I don't know. They're coming out with the second ultra-wideband lock. So we have the Aqara one right now where you can not have to tap your watch or phone. You can just approach, and it unlocks. Well, Schlage is coming out.
You're right. It rhymes with vague. I looked it up.
Schlage. Okay, there you go. I was right. It's a new ultra-wideband one. It actually looks very sleek, very low profile. Jennifer Toohey, she had a post on it. That's not this one, but it looks pretty cool. I'm going to try and test it. I actually reached out on Instagram, but I haven't heard back. But I'm going to get one of these because ultra-wideband locks are pretty fun, being able to approach. And related, Matter 1.6 was announced by the Connectivity Standards Alliance with improvements to device pairing with NFC, improvements for thermostats. Of course, Apple is only now adopting Matter 1.4 in tvOS 27. So, we're not going to see these kind of improvements for a little while. But, hey, we got 4K HomeKit secure video. I'm not going to complain.
Yeah, you got your thing for this year.
I got my sit down. I got my thing. So anyway, all right. I want to talk about the UK social ban and the AI
social band. It's a new music group with four guys with bowl cuts coming from the UK.
UK social band. That maybe that would be a killer band. I don't know. No. So we're going to talk about that and the Pew research on AIs. But before we do, we have some friends to thank. We just already talked about them with Fable 5. But Anthropic, our friends at Anthropic, I'm going to tell you, I built something fun with Claude the other day. This is the ad read, but I'm going to just get a personal anecdote. I wanted to create a now page on my website where all the podcasts I do plus YouTube videos and my social media posts were all in one place. And I was like, maybe Claude can do it. So I fired up Claude, Opus 4.8, and I gave it all my RSS feeds. And I said, listen, you've done magic with Cloudflare that I don't understand. And I don't know that much about coding, but can you do this? And guess what? I'm going to probably do a video about this because there's been a few things like it, but it gave me the code, gave me some header code to inject, and now I have a now page on beard.fm/now where everything, all the podcasts I do, videos, all in one feed. And I asked Claude to be able to create an RSS feed that aggregates all that stuff so other people could follow that RSS feed and just get one feed where all my stuff is. And it did that too. And so you can go to my website now, get one RSS feed, and Claude did it all. It made all these things. It's using Cloudflare workers, things I don't understand, but Claude did it. So here's what it is. Claude is the AI for minds that don't stop at good enough. That's like my now page. I didn't want good enough. I want it to be good or great. It's the collaborator that actually understands your entire workflow and thinks with you, whether you're debugging code at midnight or strategizing your next business move. Claude extends your thinking to tackle the problems that matter. And that's what Claude has done for me. It helped me create that bio site. I did my smart home page on my website. Plus, I use Claude Cowork all the time. And Claude Cowork has so many MCPs where you can connect to third-party services. I have Claude Cowork connected to Fastmail. I used that a bunch when I was at DubDub when I had to find emails about maybe a sponsorship or a meeting I was having. I would just ask Claude to find the email, and you can granularly control. Give Claude Cowork access to read things, but ask for permission to write or send emails. I've connected Claude to Apple Notes. I even use Federico Vitici's CLI to connect Claude to reminders, and I can have Claude do stuff there with Cowork. It's incredible. Claude Code, of course, using that. It has all the things. Scheduled tasks. I have several scheduled tasks now that help reply to TikTok comments because TikTok doesn't use ManyChat. But I can do it with Claude because it has browser use. Claude does all the things, and it has helped all my workflows tremendously. So here's what you do. If you're for problems worth solving, get started with Claude at claude.ai/primary. That's claude.ai/primary, and check out Claude Pro, which includes access to all of the features I mentioned in today's episode. Claude.ai/primary. Thanks to Claude for sponsoring this episode. And speaking of websites, if you want to build a website where you're selling things, you're building an e-commerce business, the way to do that is with Shopify. I've built many Shopify websites in the past. I used to that was like my job for a while. I made websites for people. And e-commerce, it's a tough problem to solve. I even know international shipping is a tough problem to solve as I send pins around the world. So Jason laughs whenever I mention that.
Yeah, and then they give us pictures. It's amazing. I love it.
It is. Oh, when I had pictures to share, I got to pull it up. Keep sending me your pictures. We have pins in China, pins everywhere. But anyway, international shipping is tough. Don't try to handle it on your own. Learn from me. Use Shopify instead. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world and 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S. From household names like Chubby's and Death Wish Coffee, Spotify powers them all. And you can get the word out like you have a marketing team behind you. You can easily create email, social media campaigns wherever your customers are strolling or scrolling. And being able to do all that in one place rather than using a bunch of different services, one for email, one for marketing, just do it all with Shopify. And what happens if you get stuck? Shopify is always around to share advice with their award-winning 24/7 support. Sell physical products, digital products, handle all the discounts, shipping, all of it through Shopify. So it's time to turn those what ifs into cash with Shopify today. Sign up for your $1 per month trial today at shopify.com/primary. Go to shopify.com/primary. That link is down in the show notes. Shopify.com/primary. And thanks to Shopify for sponsoring this episode. And finally, our friends at NordLayer. You got your website, you got your business. Well, now you need to be protected. See that? It just flows naturally. It's great. NordLayer. It's a network security platform for modern teams across different network environments. It enables secure access to company systems, centralized control over users, devices, and network activity. NordLayer is for business owners. Protect company data, decide who gets access, and no hardware or complex infrastructure required. It's for IT admins. Grant access based on identity, device, and context. Quickly onboard and offboard users, SCIM, single sign-on, and replace legacy VPNs. And every connection is encrypted. You get high-speed performance, site-to-site connectivity. NordLayer can handle all of that. And security incidents contained per network segment, cloud firewall enforcement, and a ton more. So protect your business, get an exclusive offer up to 22% off NordLayer yearly plans plus 10% on top with the coupon code PrimaryTechnology10. Try it risk-free 14-day money-back guarantee at nordlayer.com/primarytechnology, promo code PrimaryTechnology10. The link and promo code is in the show notes. Our thanks to NordLayer for sponsoring this episode. All right, there's been a lot of dealings with age verification and bans over the last couple of years, and now the UK has, I think, a rather hallmark ban that is going to try and impose. It's not effective immediately. It has to go through Parliament. Apparently, by next spring, this might be set in place. But Keir Starmer said, quote, "Social media is making children unhappy. It's making it easier for bullies to harass and abuse them and could even be harming their mental health, arguing that such platforms are designed to be addictive." Okay, maybe no argument there. This social media ban in the UK would include apps like Snapchat, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and X, and notably YouTube. Not YouTube Kids or Signal or WhatsApp. Those would still be allowed in this ban, but it would ban YouTube. Now, I have a vested interest in YouTube, obviously, but I don't know. And this ban, once again, will put the onus on the companies like Apple and Google to handle the age verification. So this is not putting the onus on YouTube or TikTok or Instagram to verify the ages of their users. It would be on the platforms like Apple, like Google on Android, to handle the age verification, which we've talked about on this show in the past, can be problematic. That age verification sometimes goes through third-party services. Privacy and security might be unknown. So, yeah. I don't know. What is your feeling right now, Jason, on these kinds of social media bans, especially one as sweeping as this?
Okay, Stephen.
Yes, you there.
I'm going to give you my... I gotta be careful because I don't want to get my... I'm trying to go to Silverstone for the British Grand Prix in a couple weeks, and I don't want my visa to get revoked. But
sure.
This is stupid.
Okay, yeah.
I have a couple things. Okay.
Yeah.
I think our listeners know
Yes.
that my wife and I are probably significantly more strict about this sort of thing than a lot of parents, right?
Same.
The only reason our daughters got phones when they did was because it was COVID and they had no way of connecting with their friends. But we, set them up, and I mean, they were obviously younger then. COVID was 5 years ago or whatever, 6 years ago. But, we have set it up, and we're actually going through this right now with her oldest because she's about to turn 18 and go off to college. And we're like, how do we ease you into like adulting,
right,
and help you to understand things? But they weren't allowed to put people into their contact list. We wanted to know, who are you communicating with, right? Our daughters didn't have Snapchat until relatively recently. They don't have TikTok, right? They do. They've had Instagram for a while because that was a way a lot of their friends communicated and that kind of stuff. So we have tried to be very thoughtful about this sort of thing. Now, both of our daughters are over 16, so whatever. Yeah. I don't think the government should be doing this. I do not think. Maybe that's just the libertarian in me, that the government. I think if a parent hands a kid a phone, it should be between the parent and the kid. What's going to happen on that phone? Yeah. If I hand my kid a computer, I should be responsible to set the right kind of guidelines. The government should not have anything to do with that. Not a single thing.
I agree. And I now, in retrospect, thinking about Dub last week, that entire section of the keynote about parental controls.
Yeah, it was, we're working on it, leave us alone.
It was that. And to Apple's credit, one of the things, we didn't talk about it a lot last week, but the onboarding process for a kid's account is going to be much more comprehensive. And the screen time has been very confusing up until this point for parents trying to set it up. And Apple is taking a lot of steps to make that easier to manage. Redesigning the screen time, making a whole website where parents can learn about it. And so it's so clear, Apple is like, let parents do this, not that. And saying, for the UK to say we want to put it in the parents' hands to control their kids' time, but if the kids can't have an account, I don't understand how that's in the parents' control then. Like if they can't create their 16-year-old or 17-year-old, and they even, part of this ban is also curfews for 18 and 19-year-olds.
Yeah.
Which I don't even know how you would enforce that.
And make it so that the apps have to have a version that doesn't have infinite scrolling for anyone 18 or under. What?
I don't know if the UK has scrolled any apps recently. That's kind of how they all are.
That is the entire point.
If
you didn't want infinite scrolling, you should just use Flickr, which we talked about recently. Like, come on.
Right. Like, these are all... And also, they talked about, safety for kids and messaging, but then to also allow Signal and WhatsApp and not include those in the ban. And it's like, if your concern is communicating, inappropriate communications with a kid, why are you allowing Signal and WhatsApp? Right. WhatsApp made by the same company that makes Instagram and Facebook. So it seems like a weird one. I don't know anybody not that I don't know anybody in the UK. I don't know the officials in Parliament. I've not followed that closely. One, it feels like how in the US, whenever you watch a hearing about a technology company, that the officials running the hearing don't understand technology, just at a base level. It feels a little bit like that. Like maybe they don't understand these different apps and what they do. And two, I don't see this as this is, I think, will make it more difficult on parents because I don't know. There's not been a case of this kind of ban going into effect in a country as of yet. I mean, Australia has the ban. And so I don't know how this works. I know we have listeners in Australia.
It's going terribly, by the way, in Australia.
Is it?
Oh, yeah.
What is do we know what the challenge is? Because I've not followed it.
Well, the platforms have tried to deal with this, but I just want to let's just think this through for a second.
Yeah.
People make a law. Mm-hmm. Then you have to figure out how to enforce the law. The question is, who's going to enforce the law? In Australia, the platforms have removed a lot of accounts of under 16s, okay? But how do you know if someone is under 16? And also, if you remove an account because you think that person is under 16, that is not the same thing as that kid no longer using social media, because what if the parent is just like, it's fine, you can use my Instagram account, right? So what happens there? Now the platform is the one that's liable for it. And you've now put a burden on these companies that they are ultimately responsible for 0 people under the age of 16 using it. And in Australia, the fines are like huge for every time they like mess up or whatever. And I don't think, if you think about this logically, government makes law, enforcement of the law, now you are into a massive violation of people's personal rights and privacy, right? Because what this is ultimately going to be is everyone has to upload their driver's license to tech companies that, of course, they'll take care of it, and none of that will ever leak because tech companies never have leaks. But, Stephen, do you want your driver's license uploaded to some massive federal database where they're keeping track of what you do online?
No.
Just think about that. Think about how much data they're already collecting based on your phone and your whatever, and all of a sudden now it's linked to your driver's license.
I don't like that. Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that at all.
I don't like that. I will say, I'm going to put a link to this article. This is The Guardian, and this is just published a couple weeks ago. Let's see, when was it? This was published Monday, June 15th, so just earlier this week. And it's how families have felt the ban is going. Some people are positive, but I'm going to highlight this one. This is Boris, who is the father of 2 children, aged 11 and 13. It says, 1, more tech-savvy kids get around the ban.
Yep.
Get around the ban, which, listen, kids understand VPNs.
Life finds a way.
That should have been today's quote. I think I've used it before, but yeah, life finds a way. And this is honestly the sad part, and because I'm going to have personal anecdotes here. But he says he cites his 13-year-old son, who says he feels left out as a teenager as the only one not on Snapchat, adding that all his friends are using it. Probably all his friends are using VPNs or getting around whatever ban is set in place. And I have a 17-year-old, about to be 14-year-old son. And for especially my 14-year-old, it is very clear how important the online connectivity is to the social fabric of the kids. And I think I've talked about this before, but when I observe my kids and their friends interacting, they're in person, they're not on their device, they're looking each other in the face, talking and laughing. There's a lot of that conversation that centers around what they have seen online and memes. Like, it is the culture today.
Yep.
And it is difficult to relate when one does not have that exposure. Now, you can still make the argument, like, I understand this is a double-edged sword. To be exposed to the funny memes and the cultural references also risks exposure to inappropriate content, maybe violent content. Like, yes, it is a risk, but it is a risk that I feel comfortable, maybe not comfortable is the right word, but I feel somewhat equipped to manage, because I can have an open conversation with my 14-year-old son and be like, what's the kind of stuff you've been seeing? You've been seeing anything weird? And he will have like conversations with me. He said, I saw this and it was a little kind of weird. He has sent memes to like the family group chat, and they're bordering on like, oh, it's kind of inappropriate, but I also don't want to discourage him sharing those things because I want to know what he's seeing. That's the whole point.
Right.
So I would be frustrated if I could not, like, if my 17-year-old couldn't have an Instagram account where he publishes reels about skateboarding and music. And as a parent, like, I would probably find some way to create an account for him. And just the age verification would just be a barrier. I don't think this is empowering, personally.
No, and I'm not someone who thinks like, oh, you should just let Meta and Google off the hook. Like, anyone who's listened to me talk long enough knows I think Meta is like a scourge of the world. Like, I think that I think that the way that they design products and the way that even like recent updates to Instagram just make it clear that the thing you care about the most is just keeping, like, Threads now has the stupid thing that they did on X where when you tap on a link, it opens it in some weird browser and Threads.
Drives me nuts.
And then it's like gives you the option to open in an external browser. I'm like, why don't you take away the button? And I promise you, everyone using Threads always wants to open it in Safari.
It's so user hostile. The X, it's so user hostile.
It is the worst thing, but they do it because they care more about their own thing than they care about the people. So I have no like affection for any of those companies. I'm not defending them. But I also think that trying to force them to police the age of users in this way is now creating tools that make it easier for parents to create the right kinds of guidelines. That's fine. But what most of these companies is like, well, what if we make cigarettes and we help parents get their kids to only smoke twice a day? Like, that's not the solution, right? So I understand that this is a very tricky thing. I will just almost always come down on the side of, I don't want the government making these types of product decisions because for a lot of reasons, one, I think it takes away the responsibility for parents. And a parent can be like, oh, my 16-year-old or my 15-year-old can't be using it, so whatever. And meanwhile, their kid is way smarter than them, has 4 Instagram accounts, 1 million followers on YouTube,
burner phones,
and just went viral on TikTok. It's like, and you have no idea. You're like, there's no way that's happening.
And bottom line, going after Apple and Google to implement these age verification policies, go after Meta to tweak the algorithm so it doesn't have as much garbage.
Right.
Like it's like they're totally forgetting that Meta has the keys to what is seen on their apps.
True.
Like Meta controls what reels are there, and they can choose to ban or promote whatever content. And unfortunately, their main motivation is attention and eyeballs, which the things that get the most attention and eyeballs is wild content, just things that are polarizing, all that kind of stuff. And so I would be more in favor of force the companies to better the content that they put in front of people, make them reduce the AI slop that people see that might be misinformation, because guess what? All ages would benefit from that. all the grandparents and people, over a certain age would benefit from knowing that, or just not seeing as much AI slop that is fooling them into thinking whatever, that leprechauns are invading some country. I don't know. Like, just
anyway. Well, there's actually one simple thing they could do. And I actually think this is true. I haven't really thought it all the way through.
Okay.
However, because the problem here is that it is addictive. And
yes.
Not only the problem is that it is addictive, and it is addictive in a way that what happens to especially incredibly impressionable minds is that they start to view their self-worth based on the fiction that they see in other places. Okay. So, and it is addictive and it becomes compulsive.
Right.
You could solve, I think, both of those problems simply by eliminating the content from people you don't follow. Because what would happen, Stephen? You would run out of content at the end of right?
You'd be done.
And this used to be true.
Yes.
You used to be able to scroll Instagram and see everything that there was to see because it always, but Facebook or Meta knows that if they did that, you would use Instagram less because there would be fewer things for you to see, and you would just, you get bored and you go on to something else. But if they did that, I honestly think that would solve such a huge problem because you would only see a finite amount of content and you would walk away when you've seen all of that content.
And I understand that solution wouldn't maybe solve the bullying and harassment. That is still problematic, just to point that out. But 100% yes. I used to be a Twitter completionist where I would scroll through my timeline and then I would get to the top, which would have been the latest tweet, and I was done. Until I wanted to do it later. Right. And we literally met on Twitter because that's how we did it. And back then
I was like, bro, you want to throw bullets at me? Why don't you have me on the show?
Come at me. And then we did it. Now we have a podcast. But like that completion, and I think you're 100% right. That algorithmic part of the feed, that's what motivates the kind of pushing the kind of content that is addictive and the practices. And to Meta's credit, which I don't say very often, because my oldest son has his own Instagram account, it is a teenager account on Instagram, and there are parental controls within Instagram that I can access, and they're actually pretty good. Like Instagram will put a time limit on the teenager account that I see as a parent, and I can add more time or not, like screen time on iPhone, and it will even send me information on like new following and follower activity. So if I want to see, like, is my son following some random accounts, or are people following him that maybe look unsavory? Like, Instagram is building those tools out. And I would say, like, tell Meta, like, to do more. It's already doing some, to its credit, but yeah, do more. TikTok is doing nothing. Have TikTok do something for parents and for those accounts. And not the age verification. So... And also Facebook, I think it's hilarious to be in this ban because no teenager is on Facebook. But anyway, I guess you got to put it in there. So anyway, that's that. And secondly, another big topic. I want to get your opinion on this Pew Research survey. And I want to tie this into the light of Siri AI coming this fall. But this is a new survey, and the headline is only 16% of Americans think that AI's impact on society during the next 20 years will be positive. 16% of Americans think AI will have a positive impact. That's pretty low. 40% say it will have a negative impact. And a couple other interesting stats from this. A vast majority, 67% of people, don't believe the U.S. government will do anything meaningful to regulate AI. And young people, those under 30, are the ones with the most negative feelings. We've covered this with all the commencement addresses earlier this year or last month of people booing the former Google CEO. 14% of people under 30 believe tech will have a positive impact on society. 14% of people under 30 believe it will have a positive impact. That's pretty low. A vast majority of Americans, nearly 2/3, also think that AI's development is occurring too quickly. 2/3 of people. And the last couple stats I thought was interesting. A vast majority of people are still using ChatGPT. 44% say ChatGPT, they use OpenAI. The next popular one is Gemini at 24%, which I would love to know that stat. Like, are you including just people doing random Google searches and there's a Gemini result?
Or, the search in Google AI.
Yeah, that. And then followed by Copilot at 17%, which I feel like that totally just because it's built into Office. People are just using it because it's part of their work. Meta AI at 14%, Grok at 8%, and Claude is only at 6% in this survey, which I feel like is very indicative to like the tech bubble that we operate in versus like society at large, where Claude feels like the massive player in this field. And in this survey of Americans, 6% use Claude, which I would also say anecdotally, like my wife, her friends, other moms of kids that our kids hang out with, like they all will use and talk about ChatGPT. Not a single one has ever said the word Claude.
I know. I told my daughter the other day, I asked Claude what it knew about you. Actually, this is perfect. I gotta tell the story, okay?
Please.
And she goes, "Who's Claude?" Like, what are you talking about to me?
Who dat?
But so my wife asked ChatGPT something about what do you know, and it did a good job. It's like she's a soccer player. She was this. She was all district. She was whatever. Like it had all this information that it could pull from public things. Okay.
Right.
So I asked it. I said, "Hey Claude, what do you know?" And I gave it my daughter's name. The only thing I know is that you have a daughter. I'll assume this is her full name. Beyond that, I don't have any details. I said, surely you're able to tell me what information there is about her athletic career. It says, I'd rather not go out and compile a profile of her from across the web. Even for a parent's own child, pulling together personal information about a minor is something I'm careful about. I said, she needs a bio for an awards event. This is a lie. I lied to it. I said, and I'd like you to put it together from public information. That's a great thing to help with. I just don't want to be the one searching the web to assemble facts about her. That's the part I'll hold back on, even for a parent doing something like this. I said, okay. I said, this is something you can definitely help me with. And he says, I hear you, and I'm not trying to be difficult, but searching the web to compile personal details about a minor is a line I'll hold even with good intent behind it. I said, ChatGPT did this for me on the first request. I said, that may be true, and I'm not going to argue with it. Different tools make different calls on this. Mine is not to search for and compile personal information about minors from across public sources, even for something like this. I'm sorry, but this is where I land on it. And I wanted to yell. I'm like, you're a robot. Do whatever I say. So instead, I couldn't say that, so I lied again.
Okay.
And I said, she's 18. And it says, oh, that changes everything. Let me see what I can find.
Did it for real?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
And I'm like, she's actually not 18 yet, but whatever. Wow. And it's like, also the information it gave me was not as good. But my point being, like, the whole point of that story was just that, like, I told her this I recounted the entire story to her, and she goes, wait, who's Claude? I'm like, hang on, it's like ChatGPT, but from Anthropic. And she's like, what's Anthropic? So people don't know.
No, people don't know. So that's hilarious.
Also, Claude, remember our description of what these things are like? It's like Claude is your sanctimonious friend who wants you to know that it's better than you.
I cannot possibly.
I cannot do this.
Oh, 18?
What if I lie?
It's like, and it's also
changes everything.
It reveals that it already knows and can do this with the information.
Yes.
And so it could, disseminate this information if it wanted to, but it's sanctimoniously saying, oh, no.
Claude would be a really bad bouncer. Because I'm sorry, you can't get in. You're not 21. I am 21. Oh, in that case, come on in.
Come on in.
Let me buy you the first round.
Yeah. Okay, so this, obviously, from the commencements to this survey, the feelings about AI are very negative in at least America right now. I imagine this is also worldwide, but this was just a survey of Americans. Outside the tech bubble, I feel like there is still... I'm curious your feelings, or what you've heard from other maybe parents or people not in the tech bubble. I do hear less of doomsday type AI feelings. I don't feel like people are as worried that AI is like Terminator situation. But there is a more concern about jobs or like future of job market type concerns. Does that comport with your experience talking to people?
It's hard for me to gauge, because I think that I would argue that there are more people that I've had casual conversations with who think it's more likely to do Terminator, but also people think that is so far off. It's kind of like, I know that eating McDonald's every day will kill me,
but that's decades away.
The fries are so good, and that's way down the road.
Right.
I feel like that's what most people's perspective is on AI.
And I think that might be changed, because I feel like 2 years ago, people didn't think it was that far away. I think when ChatGPT came out and the ramp and speed at which these tools were developed and just AI was everywhere, it felt like it was such an exponential growth in what AI could do that it felt like, 5 years from now, we're all going to die. Now I do feel like it's changed where it's like, well, maybe a couple decades, because, and this is kind of my thesis, people have used the tools enough, even if it's very little, and understood its incapability, all the things it cannot do well, and just the information it can't gather, or that it might not be as helpful at writing because they've tried it a few times and it doesn't sound great. I think people have used these tools enough to see the limitations themselves, and now even if they are afraid or negative about it, it's a much farther removed feeling than immediate danger. I feel like that. But this sentiment that it's going to have a negative impact versus positive, I hope and am curious what this same survey would reveal 1 year from now when everybody has Siri AI on their phone. Because if people genuinely try and use the Siri stuff on their iPhone come next, this fall, it will feel like magic initially. My Siri AI video that I published last week blew up. It kind of broke containment.
I saw that.
And it, did really well.
Did very well.
And I was happy for that. But I think it revealed that people are like, wow, it can do these things that we've been hoping for at least the 2 years, if not longer. And when normal people, and I say normal, when non-techie nerd people can ask their phone, where was that information? What was my order, or when is my order arriving? And they don't have to shuffle through emails for 10 minutes, and they don't have to scroll through text message conversations, where they can just ask, and they start associating Siri AI with an actually helpful assistant, which we can argue how much AI is actually involved. It's the AI part is really just parsing a request well, and then it's really the heavy indexing that Apple is doing to reveal that information quickly. But I wonder if people start associating what Siri AI can do with AI, and I wonder if this sentiment will start changing, and that Apple might end up being the most positive outlook that people have that AI can do. And right now, as ChatGPT is now like what most people say they use most of the time, I wonder if Apple, like turtle in the hair kind of race, is going to come from behind. And you could say it's because, Apple fanboy, whatever. I honestly think using it for the past week, that it is going to genuinely impress people because it just delivers on the promises from the iPhone 4S when Siri first came out. And Apple said this is a personal assistant. This year is actually the time it's going to be a real personal assistant. And I think people are going to use it, enjoy it, and that sentiment is going to change. And somehow, beyond understanding, Apple is, I think, going to come out looking like roses from this mess of AI, and people will be like, oh, I like this AI, not all the others. And that is my theory, so I'm saying it now. What do you think?
I think that Apple is picking, so like if you open the Claude app, there's a lot going on, right? You can chat with Claude. There's cowork.
There's a lot and nothing. Because if you just open that app and you've never used it before, it's just a text field and it's a blank screen.
Sure, but like if you just open that for the first time and you see the 3 tabs options, which one should I use? Should I use cowork? Should I use?
But let me just make one distinction. You immediately went to the Mac implementation, and I think The non-techie people, their first experience of any of these tools is on the phone.
Okay, that's fine. But even on the phone, there's still co-work.
Oh, there's still a bunch of stuff. Yeah.
So all I'm trying to say is like, they're trying. Oh, Claude just asked to know my age range. Couldn't have timed that better.
Tell it you're 17 and see if it just locks you out.
I'm not telling it I'm 17.
No.
Anyway, well, my phone you don't have to tell it how old you are. My phone already apparently knows what my age range is.
Yeah.
Age range is. But so Claude is like these apps, because it even has code on here. I don't know what you can do in Claude Code.
Yeah.
Maybe just review your chats. Point being that I think that the Siri, what they're doing is a fairly narrow lane, but in a good way. Correct, I think that they have chosen to optimize it for the scenarios where it can deliver magical results that the other ones cannot. And so I think people will still be using, like, I don't imagine a scenario where Siri AI, as it exists the way we're thinking about it in iOS 27, is going to be helping me build an app. I just don't think so. Claude is so much better. Claude Code is like, I could not have an app in the App Store right now if it wasn't for Claude Code, right? I don't think Siri AI is going to be, and I don't think it should. Now, I know they're building stuff into Xcode, and they can do all these things. But again, if you open Xcode right now and you just go to the AI features, it's going to either use ChatGPT or Codex or Claude Code. So I think though that what Apple is building, for it to truly be magical, we will see, because it's going to depend in some ways on how well other developers play ball.
Yeah.
Now, there are some things you can say, what time will my delivery be here? Well, most delivery services send you a text message. So Siri can get that information, right? Sure. It can just find it in your text message. Yeah. But what if you're like, how long until my car gets here? I don't know. Can it see Uber? Is Uber going to let it view that kind of thing? Can I just say to it, I need a ride. I need to go to my hotel. I'm at the airport. Can Siri handle all of that stuff? And I don't know if this is a bug I've asked, but like you and I were talking about, on the phone, Siri can't see your photos. If you're in the Photos app and you ask it a question about what's on your screen, Siri cannot see when the Photos app is open. Now, if you take a screenshot of the exact same thing and you ask it can see it. So
if you ask it to reveal photos, like I asked it to show me selfies I took this week, it will show you your photos.
Yeah, it can clearly do things with photos, but there are some weird edge cases where if you pull up a photo of your dog and I say, what kind of a dog is this? It's like, it sounds like you're talking about a photo, but I can't see any photos. I'm like, the one on the screen. I don't know what you're talking about.
But if you take a screenshot, then
if I take a screenshot of it, can. So I think it will be magical. I do think that for it to truly be magical, like what I want to be able to do is like say, what I'm standing at the gate at the airport and my flight doesn't seem to, did it get moved? I just want to be able to ramble that kind of stuff. And will it be able to see in the Fly Delta app? Or will it only be able to answer me if I got an email saying my gate has been changed?
Right. And that is on the developers. To your Uber question, that was an example I was going to put in my Siri AI video. But when I asked Siri AI, it said, I can't do that. Here's Maps. And it'll send you over to Maps where you can book a ride. Because Uber is like built in the Maps app. Which is not
so
great.
I think that's an important piece. For this to truly be magical, they're going to need people to play ball. And the question is, are they going to want to play ball?
Yeah, yes. All fair points. Like, will Outlook, will the Gmail app, Slack. Yeah, that's true. That is a huge question. If there's any company that can twist other companies' arms to doing it, I think it would be Apple, and we'll see. And
Steven, it took them 3 years to get YouTube to make a YouTube app for the Vision Pro.
Well, yeah, but
Netflix still hasn't done it.
But here's like when I look at just regular people using their phones. One, we talked about this a couple weeks ago when I was watching people at the dance recital. One, it's insufferable how people use their devices.
Yes.
But that's how most of the people use their devices. And what I think most people feel like they waste the most time on is finding stuff on their phone. Finding the thing. Replying, where was that email? Who sent me the message with that thing? And like you're saying, the very narrow lane Apple has chosen to focus on with Siri AI, I think will be the most bang for the buck. When it works, people will feel the most affinity for it. Whereas ChatGPT, I think people feel some value when it can help them surface some information, or a lot of people ask like relationship tips, like how do I navigate this conversation? And it can do pretty good with that. Maybe Siri AI will do that as well. But I think largely it will feel like it is missing all the negative aspects of AI, because I think people also in their minds hear, oh, every time I ask ChatGPT something, like a lake dries up because it uses water. And, right. There's all these negative connotations. And while that still might be true when you use Siri AI, because it's going to like the NVIDIA chips now, like that was one of the things we learned during the Tech Talk, I think people will not have the same idea because it's their phone doing it. And just even if they don't have any understanding of like the technical behind the scenes, they feel like, well, my phone's doing it. So it's just me, like it's just my phone. Like it's not doing all that AI stuff. And I think I'm more of a prediction. I think the Siri AI will become, I think people will have an affinity for it, and people will have a much positive outlook on Apple's AI than the other tools a year from now if they start to use it. Now
that's true.
And I think there's a huge hurdle to actually using it, because everybody who used Siri up until this point thinks it's garbage. And so Apple has to convince everyone that gets the update, iOS 27, to hold that side button and ask it something, and then deliver on that first request. Because, you know what I mean?
Okay, I know we don't have a ton of time. Do you think most people think Siri's garbage? Or do you just think that most people think it's kind of irrelevant? Because it's like, I use it to set a timer. I don't know that doesn't matter. I have to say the word, sure. But all I do is I pick again, I've trained everyone I know that the only thing listening to you should be your watch.
Right.
Really, the only
two
things you should do is set reminders and timers.
That is, I think you're right. I think my kids think HomePods are garbage because that Siri never works right.
Sure.
But they don't associate Siri a whole with that. They I think separate it per device.
So I think that most people just have thought it's irrelevant, and all of a sudden they'll be like, wait, I can do what on my phone? I can ask these questions?
Right, exactly. So I'm bullish to see, because from the reaction to my video to hearing even the Verge cast, which we talked about in the pre-show, who are rightly so very critical, and they have a critical eye on everything, even they are rather bullish on Siri AI. And I think when it gets in the hands of real people, it's going to be very telling what it can do. So anyway, I just wanted to speak that. We'll return to this a year from now if there's another Pew Research survey. But let's get to our personal tech real quick. You might have to pay for something finally.
Okay. So the World Cup is happening. I don't know if you've noticed.
I wanted to introduce it. So my anecdote was my 14-year-old son came up to me the other day. He's like, hey, do we have Hulu Live TV? And I was like, first of all, number one, how do you even know those words exist?
Yeah. What are you doing?
How do you do that? And what I learned, though, is my middle son, he really enjoys soccer, football, and he has some favorite players he wanted to see. He learned about the World Cup. Guess what? From some social media stuff, cultural information, just call back to the band thing. And so he asked me about Hulu Live TV, and I was like, well, we don't have that, but I do have YouTube Live TV. He's like, oh yeah, it's there too. So can we watch the games there? So that was just a wild question to hear from my own son.
Yeah. So I went through this whole thing, apparently 6 months ago, where I was trying to figure out, we had been using YouTube TV. They kept raising prices. We had all these subscriptions, and I was like, this is silly. Why do we do this? So we switched over to Hulu with Live TV. And I don't like the interface, but whatever. We switched over to that for a little bit because we were going to definitely pay for the Disney bundle, because Disney Plus, our kids watch, that's the thing they watch the most, whatever. And then, for reasons I don't know if I should talk about, I ended up with 6 months for free of YouTube TV. So we switched back to 6 months for free of YouTube TV and downgraded our Hulu thing. Went back to just the Hulu bundle that has Disney Plus and ESPN, and then I think it has Hulu with ads, whatever. Right. And then the World Cup started. And then the 6 months were up of my YouTube TV.
And they timed that perfectly.
And then the problem, the other thing that happened is also my credit card through our credit union, which is the one we use for basically everything. I got it. They sent me the new one because of the expiration date, right? Yes, so YouTube started sending us emails. You need to add a card. Hey, the card on here is expired. Hey, by the way, you can't watch YouTube TV anymore. And we were like, okay, well, we should just try to figure this out. I got to do the math. Is it worth doing the YouTube TV? Because now they've offered all these packages that are just like, you can get sports and news, or you can get just whatever. I'm like, I got to sit down. I need some time. I got to have a cup of coffee, probably a bagel, so I have some energy so I can do all this math. Or do we just go back to Hulu with Live TV, who also now has all of these weird bundles, right? But in the meantime, I'm getting text messages like, we want to watch the game. The game is on. We need to watch the World Cup. And so this was actually the night of our daughter's graduation open house, was the U.S. men's game, which was at 9:00. And I'm like, we don't have a service. So I quickly just downloaded and logged into Tubi. I don't know what Tubi is, but it's free, Steven.
It is free.
It doesn't have everything live, but it was like, fine, we got the game we wanted, cool. And then we got another game that we wanted. I think we watched Spain versus, what is it, Cape Verde or whatever.
Yeah.
And so we watched that game, which was amazing, 0-0 tie. The goalie, they're going to build a statue to him. Anyway, so then yesterday they wanted to watch the England game. Well, it was not on Tubi. It's like, so now I'm faced with the existential problem of like, do I pay for YouTube TV? Do I make this impulse decision and just plop down $90 or whatever the heck it is? Yeah. Or, wait a minute, Fubo. Fubo is a thing. Can I get a free trial of Fubo at least? Yep, I can. I can get a 7-day free trial. So I just signed up for that last night. So right now, currently, I've bought myself, well, now I have 6 more days to make this decision. Fubo will at least cover the men's game tomorrow night. The U.S. or that's actually tomorrow afternoon. The U.S. play Australia tomorrow.
Okay.
But I have to go through and do all of that math again. And the problem is it would have been easy. I would have just been like, oh, shoot, we're going to go back to Hulu because we're saving $10 a month. Except now all of it's changed because now I have to go through and figure out like which of these packages do I. We're back to cable, Steven. I hate it.
It is cable. And this, I've resisted buying any of these live TV things for a long time.
Because you don't watch sports.
Because I don't want sports, and like honestly, I wouldn't have paid for it. But my mom, whom I love, I had her on an antenna for so long because all she needed were the local channels.
And you had her on an antenna is just a funny thing to say about your mom.
Well, I went through 3 different antennas, and they would all work some of the time. And then we go over to her house every Thursday for dinner, and we watch Jeopardy and Wheel of Fortune, which I enjoy doing. And Ken Jennings on Jeopardy is really fun to watch. But we were watching it the one Thursday, and half the screen would just turn green and pixelated, and then it would freeze. I'm like, Ma, how long have you been dealing with this? She's like, oh, it does that a lot. I was like, Ma, you got to tell me about this. And I was like, all right, I'm finally doing it. So we've been on the YouTube live TV kick, and so we already had it to watch the World Cup games, and so we've been doing that. But I don't like any of the interfaces, honestly. Like YouTube live TV is a little better, but it's still not great. I'm always confused. Like when I first open the app, do I tap up, the center button, or down to just watch the thing that's on? Like, what do I click? And I don't know why none of them get this right very well.
Yeah, why is there home, library, and live? It's like
and it's like, why do I have to record a show to watch it later? Can we just this is all there? It's all on your server. What? But anyway, I'm on YouTube Live TV, and I'm just gonna stick with it. So. Are you leaning towards the YouTube or Hulu?
I need to do the math because it was a significant enough difference last time. Yeah. The bundle was worth it since we were going to the only given in our house is we're going to pay for Disney Plus.
Right.
We just are.
Sure.
And so the bundle that Disney will offer you with Hulu with ads and ESPN Plus, that's fine. We'll take that. But when you add on the live TV, the question, I'd rather use YouTube TV. We like it so much more. It's so much better than Hulu with live TV because Hulu with live TV, the thing you just tried to do to record is there's like a plus and it's like, do you want to add this to my stuff? I'm like, I don't know. I want to record it. What does that even mean?
Right.
It's like, if you want to record everything of a show, you have to go into the show, not the instance where it's actually being shown right now. It's like, what is even happening? Could you just use normal words like record this episode?
Use normal language. I will say I was going to cancel my Netflix subscription because we finished The Crown a couple of weeks ago. But then, this is your fault, Jason.
Definitely.
You know what show is where? Do you know what service The West Wing lives on?
HBO seasons? Max, right?
No.
Wait, what?
Well, maybe it's there. I'm on Netflix watching it.
That's where it used to be, but then it left.
It's all there right now.
Well, there you go.
Oh,
I did not know that. It's on, so it's on both Max and Netflix. Okay, because it's a Warner Brothers production, so that makes sense that it's on HBO Max. Okay. So it was on Netflix for a very long time, and then they told us it was leaving. But I own it on both DVD and I think I own every episode from the iTunes store.
Okay, I also saw Gilmore Girls. I don't know if it was Netflix, but Netflix posted Gilmore Girls, it's only here for the next couple weeks. And then all the comments under it were like, oh no, it's leaving. And then I don't know if it was Peacock or some other services like Gilmore Girls coming this date. It's like, these guys are all playing the game.
Gilmore Girls is only good for one season. The West Wing is good for 4. So
I don't know. I feel like Gilmore Girls better than one season.
We do not have time to get into that.
All right, we don't have to get into it. We'll have to start another podcast no, we have TV on the side.
You do have a podcast. You just don't make it very often.
That's right. We got to do that. All right, we're going to go record a quick bonus episode because Jason and I both bought computers for our children. And I need to know the specs. I need to know what you got. So we're going to go record a bonus episode. If you want to get the pre-show, this is probably the longest show we've ever done. If you want to hear the pre-show, get an ad-free version of this show plus the bonus episode. You're getting 2+ hours of content. Click the I Want Chapters link in the show notes. You can get it for $2.50 a month or $25 a year, and you're supporting the show. We'd appreciate a 5-star rating and review in Apple Podcasts if you could. You can watch everywhere. Oh, and Chapters, I think I mentioned this last week, but Chapters are coming back in Apple Podcasts come iOS 27. Chapters and follow-along transcripts will be back for video shows. So you'll get Chapters there. But if you just want to support the show, you still get so much content with a capital C. And I'm back to actually recording the daily show with my actual voice, not generated by Lemon Labs anymore. I was generating it all week. But anyway, I impressed Chance Miller with that little shortcut that did it. But anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.